I asked 3 of the best ranked players in the world that are currently in the top 20 in Unreal rank for their best tips for anyone looking to gain more rank points. And what they told me will shock you, because today we're going to be uncovering all the secrets you don't know that are stopping you from hitting Unreal rank this season. Before we get into fighting in the new season, I just want to talk briefly on the changes they have made to the ranked system so you can play to the new ranked strengths. They have made it so you lose a lot less bus fare. I'm not sure if this is because they removed the objectives like caches and the center island out of the game that gave you points, or if this is here to stay forever, but in champion rank, a death off spawn will lose you anywhere from 1 to 3% max, which makes a massive difference on the 20% that you'd lose last season. I think they've definitely removed or weakened the consistency bonus. This is something I went into a lot in my guys last season, but it pretty much just means the more consistent you was in games, so the better placement you had, the less points you'd lose and the more you'd gain. And finally, they have increased the points you get for an elimination. Apart from elite and champion, where it seems like they have made it much harder to rank up, and where kill and elite rank will gain you anywhere from 1 to 5% points, and in champion it will gain you 1 to 3%. Now we know what changes they made to ranked, let's talk about fighting this season. Meta has completely changed as a whole. Fortnite players are dying quicker, less players are boxing up, and we have a more of a spray and pray meta than anything else before, as well as explosives like RPGs and grenade launchers just taking over the game. This has led to a lot of you guys asking for tips when it comes to fighting in rank. So first of all, I want to break this category up into 3 different sections: the early game, the mid game, and the end game. Starting off with the early game this season. When fighting early game, there is a lot less shield. This means most of the time players are running around on 100 HP or less, and there seems to be a lot more mats than usual. But if there's one thing that is clear, that is that your drop matters so much more this season than any other. Due to the lack of shields, most players are one shot to a pump shotgun, so you need to make sure you're looting as quick as possible so you're not 1 HP to them shotgun. I would much rather this season have an SMG and 100 health and 100 shield than have a shotgun and 100 health. I promise your priority of spawn should be to get them shields off as quick as possible. Start thinking when you're playing just like this, and it will make a big difference off spawn, I promise you. Thinking, well, what actual changes can I make to make this possible? My biggest tip for this is to pick one spot on the Fortnite map, only land there, and learn the quickest way possible to loot the exact building or that exact spot you land. Make sure you land at the same place every single game, same building or wherever it is. Learn the drop. I don't care if you're dying off spawn 60 times because you mess up your drop. Even still, you'd probably only lose like 10% rank points max anyway this season for that. But eventually, after playing so many games, you will learn the drops, you learn all the chests and the floor spawns, as well as the quickest way to loot the spot, which just decreases the chance of RNG off spawn and massively increases your chance of getting better loot like shotguns and shields, especially them shields. Now we've went off spawn, we need to start thinking about the loadout we're going for. Now that the rank loadout is a little bit of a tricky one for me to explain because the loot pool is going to change so much. So I'm going to explain for a sort of general basis the loadout you should be taking, what your loadout should look like. Preferably you want to get yourself an AR, the normal, the Spread Scar, or the heavy that's just been added back today are all really great shots in terms of the ARs to go for this season. I mean, if you're particularly good with the Spress one, then I recommend taking that, or any of them guns purple are really broken, so just take what you prefer the most. Then you want to get yourself a shotgun, preferably a pump. This will stay throughout all the seasons and will be the best shotgun to take, especially over that double barrel that's just been added back in. I'd recommend just leaving that if you find it. Your third spot, you want an SMG or an LMG just to clean up. The LMG is super broken this season, it's got so much ammo in it and is amazing for cleaning up and taking walls. Then you should carry either 2 sets of meds, or you can switch one of the sets out for an RPG, a grenade launcher, or stink grenades, or anything that's going to help you in a fight. Or if it's towards endgame, you could switch it out for something like a grappler, which will be super meta in the endgame. Now, in terms of snipers, I know that semi is particularly broken this season. They're not necessarily a must, but if you're really good with them, you could switch it out for your AR as long as you have an SMG. Now we're getting into the mid game. Most people struggle in this stage just because players this season are playing completely different. Before the fight starts, you preferably want to get a big tag on your opponent. This big tag this season will make a massive difference, especially with the low shields. You can't just pop a slurp and carry on fighting. Once you got your big tag off, or if you miss all your shots, you need to get high ground. This is an absolute must for winning fights, and that's why people are full begging the high ground this season. You want to try and avoid boxing up as much as you can, just due to them grenade launchers, because it's near enough impossible to survive when sat in a box if your opponent opponent is just spamming grenades at your box this season. If you find your opponent sat in a box, don't be afraid to hop in their box, especially if they're low on health, because you can't one pump this season. So if you're 100 and your opponent's like 150 or something, don't be afraid just to hop in the box and take that 50-50, especially if you've got good aim. I'll do this more though in game modes like duos and squads, just because it's so hard this season to 1v2 or to 3v4 if it's squads and get that clutch. So get that 1 kill quick, and it should be an easy win for you. The one thing you want to stop from happening, which is a big mistake people are making this season, is dragging fights out. This will be your worst enemy and you just want to avoid it. But once we've broken out of that mid game, we've then made it into the end game, and this is kind of a bit of a tricky one this season because the zones are bigger, there is a lot more of them, and people are just boxing up at this stage like they did back in OG Fortnite. So really, this is where you want to have a grappler. If you kill an opponent mid-game and find a grappler, you probably want to take it because it seems like it's just so hard to rotate in these zones without having a grappler. And rifts are not that great just because you'll get lobby focused as soon as you rift, so it's definitely not ideal. Things like grenade launchers though are really broken in the end game when people are boxed up, so just keep that in mind. But a lot of it comes down really to just having that experience and how many end games you manage to play, and every decision really is just kind of a general decision based on that lobby, what the players are like, what they've got and things like that. So I can't really just give you an exact tip to follow, but that's what I can tell you about endgames this season. Stop the video right there. I was looking at the back end of the YouTube channel, and 96.7% of people who watch my videos frequently are not subscribed. So I have a small favour to ask you. If you've ever enjoyed or found any of my tips helpful, or ever watched my videos, enjoyed the content, please can you hit that subscribe button and support me as a creator. It helps the channel more than I can explain, and I'll make you a promise in return. I promise I'll make my tips and videos better and better and better each video, and that's a promise I'm willing to make you. Anyways, thank you for supporting the channel. Enjoy the rest of the video. When making this video, I decided to ask 3 different players in Unreal Rank that were all in the top 50 at the time on their best tips to get points in the brand new season, and they all said pretty much the same thing to me. If you're in lower ranks, you should W key, and if you're in higher ranks, you should play for the win. I even asked JV Mafia, who's second on the rank leaderboard, what his best tip was, and the exact thing he said to me was, you just got to W key and get the win. Now, all these people I were watching were all like on 0 to 2 kills most of the time in mid to end game, so they were literally following that exact advice they gave me. Some went into a bit more detail than others, but that is the basics of what they said to me. So I'm going to break into this and break it down a bit more for you. So if you're in anywhere from bronze to diamond rank, I think you should 100% WK. I think I said it best when I made that video the other day, where I found out in diamond rank, if you get 1 kill off spawn, you gain points, which is literally just incredible. But once you break into elite and champion this season, you won't actually lose many points, but you will struggle to gain unless you're playing for endgame, because 4 kills off spawn in champion will literally gain you like 3%. So unless you're getting like 6 to 7 kills and the win in the end game, you'll struggle to gain anything above like 10 to 20%. I think the best game I've had in champion rank without the win was probably a 12 kill second, and I only gained like 20% for that. So make sure you're playing for that win and getting kills end game, because you'll get rewarded with so many points. And finally, the best game mode to play. Now, there's not really one exact best game mode to play this season. It just kind of depends on you and your team. If you're a really good solo player and you haven't got any good teammates to play with, play solos. If you've got a really good friend to play with, then play duos. But if you've got 3 really good friends to play with, then 100% play squads. So it just kind of depends on your situation. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Please subscribe to the channel because it helps the channel out more than I can explain. And I reply to every comment down below. If you don't believe me, test it out. And if you like this video, you may also like this video on screen now.